What up, what up, what up? Daniel Augustin here with another episode of Multi-Hyphenate AF. I'm excited to be back. It's been a little minute. I'm not going to give you a boatload of excuses. I'm going to just keep it real with you though. I have been working on a script that I've been very excited about finishing up. Been pitching scripts and auditioning. I think I've had about 3 auditions. I've been gone for about a month. I had my first consult with a client. Consult went very well. We actually went over the hour, but I was excited to be working with a new client for the first time and tried to give as much value as possible. And aside from that, there's just been different things going on with family and stuff like that. So I took this time for myself. I'm not in a place right now where I have absolutely guaranteed how much time I'm going to be filming episodes sometimes. And within this time, I've also been recording and releasing music. So there are times where sometimes I want to get into my bag and I'm going to get back into this bag too. I get back into this though, when I feel inspired and I have something to deliver. I look forward to hopefully getting to a place where I'm doing this just on a consistent basis and maybe even every day, but that's something that would be far ahead of me right now. It's my Gavin Newsom. So, in the meantime and between time, I tap in when it's time to, and right now it's more than time to. In this episode, I want to talk about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, but not just them. I'm not going to make this just about them. There's so many people reporting on them. I will get into how I see their relationship, but I want to talk about creative differences in Hollywood and how it happens a lot more common than we know, than we recognize, than we realize. Creative differences happen just about every single time we go on set. Rarely do you go on a set and everybody on the set is just gelling and just vibing with each other. We want to act like we're all family members. Not the case. It's just temporary. It's temporary families. Okay. So let me get into this. Let me jump in. Let me do my thing. Right. Let me just say this, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, whether you listening to the podcast or watching this on YouTube, I appreciate you for tapping in. Would appreciate you even more if you decided to like, comment, subscribe, and let's do this. Most people are not givers. Most people are takers. I think Hollywood is an extension of high school and college. I think Hollywood and politics are a lot alike, so much alike. I wholeheartedly believe, this is not just what I think. I've been experiencing this now. I've been in this industry for 10 to 11 years, and I've been here in Los Angeles now for 5 years. It's very challenging to make these creative relationships work. I personally have been through this myself. No sexual harassment, nothing like that, but having relationships with people on set, creatively speaking, is the most challenging thing you could do. To have a great relationship with another artist, it's like juggling, and you got your own life to juggle. So at the end of the day, it ain't even really your life's mission to make your relationship with this other person work. Really, what's more important is that everybody shows up to work. Everybody respects the hierarchy of being here at work, and we're going to get good work done. But you do need things to gel for people to start finding magics. And a lot of times, artists cross that line. They don't see it anymore because they just start believing in Oscar hype and so on and so forth. And to make those things work, we have to become best friends. Sometimes those things do work. Sometimes the more you talk to somebody, the more you get to know them, the more you find your banter with them, and y'all find things that you can actually start to incorporate on camera, and it can just create something that is next level and it's different. I do think that in a lot of ways, that's why people find Ryan Reynolds' work, or have found his work, to be something that was otherworldly, because it wasn't something that was on the page. He was coming in there and he was bringing, allegedly, but he was bringing something from his personal life, putting it in his workspace, and just crafting it around in an artistic way in hopes that nobody would figure it out. Unfortunately for him, people are all over it in this case, right? But let's talk about Hollywood, right? So Hollywood in general. This is a weird fucking place. It's weird as fuck. There is no other job. I don't care where you work, banker, a scientist, a mathematician, a teacher, police officer, no other job in the world where you're going to get an email from a potential employer that's going to say, hey, you got a simulated sex scene in this episode. That doesn't happen. Hey, you got a simulated sex scene and you're going to have simulated sex. You're going to be partially nude. She's going to be partially nude, and y'all going to be in the shower. And there's going to be about 10 people in the room. We're going to close down the set, so there'll be about 4 people in the room. People are still going to watch this though. But Hollywood is a crazy place. You're basically creating softcore porn every time. You're constantly crossing the line, but being asked to be a professional. And in this business, I mean, nobody getting no background checks or nothing like that. It's a bunch of people who are just artists who don't want to have a regular job. You don't think that you're going to get some people in here who are potentially creeps? That's why when somebody like Blake Lively and any woman who has been leaning on this and creating this new crutch of the Me Too movement is bad for business. It's bad for this entire artistic endeavor. If you're going to speak up and speak out, it should be honest. There are holes all over this woman's case, and it's disgusting. It pisses me the fuck off, to be real. Just me as a man, I couldn't imagine going on set and then somebody lying on me about sexual harassment. If it's going to happen, it needed to have happened for real. That's crazy to be saying this type of shit. And the man got a whole family. He got a wife. He got his own kids, and you got kids. And this is the example that she wants to lead for her children. And then they take their ass on SNL. What the fuck? That's how weird Hollywood is. I'm barely even getting into the weeds right now. Okay, because I want to be able to weave in and weave out. I don't want to focus too heavily on just them. I'm using them as an example for what I want to talk about when it comes to relationships. Yes, I can break that shit down because I think I have a handle on what the hell is going on there. And a lot of people whose videos that I've watched talking about this case, they don't know how to talk about it. A lot of them, because a lot of them aren't actors or directors. A lot of them are people who are just interested in what's going on. There have been some people who have been on it and they've been putting out some really good stuff. But Justin Baldoni had a lot on his plate. There's a lot to handle. He's the producer. He's the director. He's the lead actor. As a producer, you got people in your ear on set. First of all, just to get to set. Let's talk about that. Just to get to set. It took him 6 years. That's insane. Okay. He did a lot for this film. Brought people together and did a table read with the fans. You don't see people do that type of shit. He really poured his heart and soul into this. But as a producer, if you're on set, automatically you're dealing with all kinds of logistics, the schedule, the locations. This actor has this issue, budgetary issues, etc. So he's dealing with that. That's one hat he got to wear. Boom. Take that hat off. Now he got another hat as a director. He's dealing with talking to the producers and communicating with them, and talking to the AD and communicating with them, talking to the actors and communicating with them, talking to gaffers, sound, getting ideas for what's going on. Having all of those conversations. These are two hats. Those are two different types of conversations. Okay. And there's still a bunch more stuff under that director hat that I haven't even just said yet. Then he got to take that hat off and wear the acting hat. And as an actor, he got to be able to put all that other stuff away. He can't focus on none of those logistics. He can't focus on none of the technical stuff. He can't focus on the lights. Can't focus on the people. You just focus on you as the character, Riles, in this scene. You got to totally just be engaged in this scene and forget all that stuff happened. It's too much shit going on for this man to be abusing this girl. That's how I see this. Way too much going on. Period and point blank. Okay? I'm trying not to make this too personal because I do feel very personal. I get this case triggered me because it's just too many men getting in trouble and women taking advantage of this Me Too too. It needs to be honest because now the tables are about to turn and we about to get girl who cried wolf, and ain't nobody know how to trust the next woman who says something and it actually happened to her. I think Blake Lively needs to be finished. Let's just say that. Okay. Now, why I want to talk about this, what I said before about the hierarchy. The hierarchy needs to be respected when you're on set. When you're on set regularly, you just got casted in a thing and you're a co-star, a guest star, a series regular. Whoever's there as the director, I mean, that person has a handle on this episode in a way you don't. That's not to say you can't speak up and say certain things. There have been a number of times I've been on set and I said something because I saw the director didn't realize it. They're handling a ton of stuff, and they'll say something, maybe about the line or, where we are in the scene in general. And I might be the one to jump in and be like, no, that happens this time. Right now we're on this. And then they'll be, oh, yeah. But I'm not stepping on their toes. I'm supporting, collaborating. I don't know if you guys watched the scene with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni where they're dancing. And the entire time that they were doing this scene, I think there were like 3 takes of it. This is the scene where Blake Lively said that he rubbed his face on her and kissed her and said she smells good and this, that, and the third. Lies. It happened, but there's so much other stuff that happens in between there. And they were genuinely vibing with each other as far as why any of those things happened. But ultimately, what I was getting ready to say is every single time they called action, she was challenging him. As soon as they first started, she was saying, I think we should move back because the light is here and so on and so forth. And he's like, I want it there. It's good. this, that, and the third. He wanted the scene to be a slow motion scene where they're just staring at each other in the eyes. Mind you, he's been working on this film for 6+ years, so he's thinking about the music that's going to be playing there, soundtrack, what the people in the background are doing, the game that's going to be on the screen. He's even thought about this already. She didn't even read the book, but she's jumping in and saying, I think we should be talking because I think that's more romantic. Every single chance she got, she was trying to be the director of this film. She was trying to be the producer of this film. She was trying to take authorship. And she said it in other interviews. I'm not going to throw all that back in here right now. But you can see the creative differences. You can see the challenge. And Justin was constantly just trying to make it work because, yes, as a director, he should be able to cut all that off and be like, we're moving in this direction. But he's also the producer. And the producer tends to be an HR person. The producer tends to be somebody that you can sit down with and talk about your issues sometimes. So he's also trying to make sure that he can produce this movie from start to finish. And this is his star actress. He's also the lead actor. So he also needs the energy to be on point so that he can have his scenes with her the way he needs them. In general, what I'm getting at is it's really difficult to make things work with people. Blake Lively's hella famous and he's not. And here he goes. He done popped out with this great piece of content, this great piece of IP, and people love it. She didn't even know about it. He found her. He brought her on. But in her mind, she's looking at things like, hold on, wait, I'm more famous than you, bruh. I need to be on the cover of this thing. And you know what? I need to be the producer of this thing. And you know what? I need to be the editor of this thing. Matter of fact, you shouldn't even be on this thing. They say he got a clause in his contract where if he does commit sexual harassment, they can kick him off the movie. All of a sudden, there's a sexual harassment case. So why am I even saying any of this? Most people are not givers. They are takers. And it is my opinion that Blake Lively is a taker. It is my opinion that a majority of artists that you run into will be takers, not givers. Takers. They want to take hold of the conversation. They want to take hold of their place on the call sheet. They want to take hold of the scene and becoming the star of the scene and making sure they shine as opposed to making sure that the scene shines and that their partner shines. Because if their partner shines, they'll shine. Most people are not givers. They are takers. I've been out here for 5 years now. I remember when I first got out here, I tried to work with this Haitian writer. And it's not like I had a boatload of money. I just knew that I wanted to work with creatives. The fact that he was Haitian, that was just icing on the cake in my opinion. And he was working on a short film at the time. There was a role in the film and I wanted to play the role, but he had already casted the role. And I was like, all right, cool. Got a chance to meet who he casted in the role. Spoke to the person, everything, started building relationships with all these people. Like I said, I'm brand new in LA. And then I asked him if I can edit it. I sent him my work and, he told me he didn't have much of a budget. I said, don't worry about it. I'll cut it for free. So automatically I established that I am a collaborator. I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have said, I'm going to need you to pay me at least a little bit because I still got bills to pay. And just so that you respect my time, you're going to need to pay me for my time. But I didn't do that. And he ultimately started to walk all over my time. He tried to do everything he could to take up at least 8 hours of my day. And I only bring that up because I started to build a relationship with him, business relationship with him. From that time, after that, I booked Grey's Anatomy. After I booked Grey's Anatomy is when I backed out of that project, but I got it to a great place and I let another editor finish it, but the other editor didn't really do much. I got it to where it needed to be. After Grey's Anatomy, I booked How I Met Your Father. After How I Met Your Father, I booked Rap Shit. After I booked Rap Shit, he had this newfound interest in me. When he would see me, he would talk to me about how he was trying to get a job on the show. I could just sense that he was more drawn to me, more interested in me in general as a whole, as a creative, because I was doing stuff and, I continued to communicate with him. And there came a time where once I started to really make money on the show, I think come season 2, I wanted to produce a feature film. And I was talking to him about producing the feature film. Wasn't asking him to do the favor that I gave him. I told him I would pay him. I had a specific kind of budget and I wanted to produce this film. I didn't want to just pay for a script. He's a writer-director. And in my opinion, if he was smart, he would have thought about the bigger picture. He wouldn't have done what I'm about to say that he did. But instead, he chose to try and charge me the WGA rate. Nobody else is paying you the WGA rate. You're not making that anywhere else. You don't make that. That's not where you are or who you are. I did your project for free, but you're not only going to charge me, you're going to charge me the WGA rate. Now you can charge me. I don't mind that. But why not we take a look at the bigger picture and you charge me, but we produced this film. And not only did you get a chance to write this film, but you also got a chance to go and shoot this film. And the idea was I wanted to go shoot a film in Haiti. It's been so long since I've been back in Haiti. And that's what I wanted to do. And it was on the heels of being in rap shit as this Haitian character. So I wanted to build on that and really start to carve out a lane for myself. Anyways, upon him trying to charge me the WGA rate, I dropped the whole conversation because it was just not going to happen. The WGA rate is like a ridiculous amount of money. If I'm not mistaken, it's like over $50,000 for a feature film. I could be wrong with that number, but it's a ridiculous rate. And it's like, bro, that's the money to produce this movie. Creative differences is real, and it happens through and through. And it happens because of a number of reasons. Instead of that guy looking at the bigger picture, he was looking at the one picture he wanted to look at, which was the WGA rate. Almost like how Blake Lively's looking at the picture of, I should be the star of this movie. It should be me on the cover. I should be promoting this film as the lead actress and so on and so forth. And there are plenty of people who are willing to burn a bridge that's still being built simply because their ego is festering and turning into whatever kind of Pac-Man monster it sees itself being. Hollywood is so toxic. You gotta, if you're coming here, even if you're doing this from Atlanta or from anywhere else, you gotta create your own safe spaces. And in my opinion, your safe space is your family. If you don't have a family, like, a wife and child type of situation, then your safe space needs to be like a small number of friends, and hopefully friends that aren't in the industry, so that you can step away from this. This next situation is the one that I think is why this really triggered me. One of those people that I met on that movie, he's also Haitian, and I reached out to him to ask him if he knew anybody who was writing scripts, Haitian scripts. He connects me to this other guy, this other artist. This other artist, he's out in Atlanta, from South Florida. He sent me the script first. The script he sends me is like 70 pages, so it's a little short for a feature film, but it was good. I was really excited about it. And I reached out to those guys to let them know I would love to do this movie. I would have been the lead of it. A lot of other strong characters, but I told them I would love to do this movie. I will pay to produce this film. And I told them what my budget was. My budget was going to be $50,000 to $100,000, period, point blank. I am a avid independent filmmaker. There's a project that my wife and I created that we got into Tribeca. We shot it for $5,000. It's called Kinfolk. Shot it for $5,000. When it came down to the edit, that's when I really started to spend some money. I think I spent around like $15,000 at that point. But that project is now on Peacock. I feel very proud about that work. I will be releasing that on the channel. But ultimately, I just say that to say, I'm all about getting it done. I don't need the whole bells and whistles, it's being produced by Sony and distributed by, I don't need all of that. We can make this happen. I got a camera, I got lights, I got audio equipment. Let's make it happen. So the difference though was that writer-director who I was connected to, he came up under the fellowship mindset. He's been getting fellowships. And when you get into fellowships, that's great, but you're also getting a tremendous amount of support constantly. People are paying for your film to be produced. So you don't understand the grind. You don't understand the dollars. You don't understand how independent filmmaking gets done. You're getting the studio approach, even though it's on a smaller scale every single time. And so we ran into the challenge of me wanting to get this project done versus him trying to mine through it bit by bit by bit. It was 70 pages. I gave notes. He didn't take too many of my notes, took some of them, but we got the script around about 90 plus pages or so. And we just kept building. We were meeting up once a week. That writer-director started to take up all of my time. I'm really not the kind of person that you can get on the phone like that. But he'll call me every single day. And me trying to be a good producer, I'm going to be the lead actor of this film. So I'm answering the call. I'm making time so that we could talk because we're bonding. He's the writer-director. He's getting a chance to get to know me and my mindset. He's going to start to put some of my language, some of the way that I talk into this movie. So I'm giving up my time. I'm talking to him constantly. I'm talking to him at home. I'm talking to him when I just get out the dentist. I'm talking to him when I'm waiting for my lift. I'm talking to him in the lift, building the rapport. Essentially that Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively situation. The man was sending her voice calls at 2 a.m. My wife was like, why would he be sending her a voice call? I'm like, artists are weird like that. They talk as much as they feel like they need to so they can get to this newfound comfortable place and they can get on set and they can say their one line or do their whole big monologue. Artists, it's hard. It's fucking hard. Anyways, we're building. We get to this place, and I done brought on a bunch of people. I had a manager at 3 Arts at the time. He connects me to somebody who was going to be my line producer. I asked the line producer to get me a budget. We're gonna do this the SAG route, so it's gonna cost even more money. We're gonna film this in Haiti. I'm essentially responsible for flying people out to Haiti, flying out the director, flying out this other producer, flying out any actors that we cast here in Florida, but we're gonna try to cast more people in Haiti. Flying all these people out, staying out there. The plan was to be out there for 3 weeks, knock it out, fly back. That line producer told me it was going to cost $300,000. I'm like, okay, this is too much. This is too much. In my mind, I was still going to try to make it work though. So through the other producer, the guy who introduced me to the writer director, I'm like, yo, try to get us some grant writers, etc. He's working on that. But now, with all that talking I'm doing with the writer director, he starts telling me about how he doesn't like the fact that the producer who introduced me to him is going to be listed on this project with the same title as him and me, because he feels like that guy's not doing as much work as we are. He feels like that guy is just a yes man to me, which maybe he feels that way because I'm the one with the money. And so sometimes the one with the money tends to be calling certain shots. But so now he's talking to me about trying to get me to fire that producer. I tell him, I said, I can't do that. That's not something I want to do, and I don't think we should do it. I told him, I said, I understand the bit about the credits because I understand that we're putting in more work on the script and so on and so forth, but you should talk to him. You're the director of the project. I never stepped on his toes by him being the director. I never asked for the FDX file like Blake Lively asked Justin Baldoni. I made suggestions about the script. That's part of being an artist. You're going to do that. But never got in his way. Time and time again, anytime somebody did try to get in his way, I was the one person on the call who would protect him or speak up for him. But in this case, I was like, no, you got to do that. I'm not firing this person because you don't want this person to have a credit. This person has already connected us to people in Haiti. He's helped us get certain locations. He was dragging his foot a little bit, so I could see why he's a little frustrated with him. But we're not even ready to shoot this thing right now. And had we just went ahead and shot it like I was suggesting, we'd have had this film in the can. We'd have filmed it, probably spending just 25 to 50K, and we'd have came back and I would have been cutting it and it would have been beautiful. I was suggesting things to that director, the writer director, like, I already got a camera, bro. I got a 6K camera. We can use my camera. He's like, nah, man, we need the RE. We need these lights. We need that DP to shoot it. And I'm like, I get it. I get this vision, but no, this is a lot. This is ridiculous. Like, where are you going to get that money? And so him and that producer end up falling out after they have their conversation. Now there's a lot of toxicity going on. Now that producer's contacting me sometimes trying to figure out what's going on. We're still cool at this time, but ultimately it just ends up being toxic because now he's talking trash about that guy and I'm like, bro, I don't know what was said on that call. All I know is I didn't want you to be fired, but that writer director let him go. So boom. Now we keep moving forward and it's draining me. It's starting to become a drain on my energy. All this talking we're doing because honestly, we're not getting ready to shoot this film. This is all around the time that the strike hit. And I remember having a lawyer at the time and I talked to my lawyer about what was going on in the industry, this film, and trying to see if we can get people to help payment wise, if he can connect me to people. And the main advice he gave me was don't do anything right now. Save your money. Things are about to be crazy for quite some time. We don't even know when the industry's coming back. After he told me this, I was like, okay, I have to revise how I'm doing things. I went and told the writer director, I'm not in a position to pay for this movie anymore. We need to try to get some people on board who can help us pay for it. So I'm taking meetings. I'm meeting people to see if they'll help produce, to see if they'll help pay, to see if they'll help connect us to people who can pay. Me and the writer director start to get into this place where we're just not in the best of spaces. But this was after I paid for a trip to go to Haiti for him, one of his like script consultant, producer friends, the DP, and I think one other person. I spent essentially $2,000 to $3,000 for flights to Haiti. And before the flight is when we started going back and forth, like with the money and me talking about how like, yo, this is not gonna work right now. We're gonna need to put this project on hold right now. I can't pay for this. And it just started to go awry. It's hard to even really understand what the hell happened in this business relationship. It's a blur of ego and hierarchical, I think that's the word, differences. Being the writer director absolutely affords you power and status, but being the person who's paying absolutely affords you decision making, power, and status, so on and so forth. Oftentimes, a writer-director goes along with what's happening because they're not the ones with the money. And if the money's not there, you can't really go shoot it unless you're willing to go do that. And so when it really boiled down to the end of our business relationship, our creative relationship, he essentially begged me to still let everybody go on this trip to Haiti. I needed that money, but I said, all right, trying to be a good producer. Conflict of interest. So that $2,000 to $3,000 I pay, he leaves Haiti. And by the time he comes back to Haiti, he calls me to let me know how he no longer wants me on the project. And so I stopped paying attention to this project as a whole. But the other day, my wife was telling me she saw something about it on Instagram. He was fundraising. He got some money, didn't get nowhere near to the type of money he was trying to get. But she also sent me some picture of them in Haiti shooting it. It looked like the type of set that I would have had. So it looks like he just decided to try and shoot it, probably to prove to himself that he could, probably to prove to me that he didn't need me. And this is how a lot of things happen. Who knows, maybe moving forward in the future upon the film coming out and so on and so forth, I'll be reaching out via a lawyer to get my $2,000 to $3,000 back. But the reason I bring that up is, how do you understand, see, and adjust to the hierarchy? It's very challenging. I have had so many artistic relationships, and the biggest challenge with almost all of them is whether or not people in the relationship understand the hierarchy. Is everybody there under the same pretenses? Is everybody there sitting in the same chair doing the same thing? Or do people understand my role is this and your role is that? Because if that understanding is not there, there will be headbutting going on. If the understanding is not there that you're a person and you deserve respect if you're having a good or bad day, and I'm a person and I deserve respect if I'm having a good or bad day, but that doesn't mean that we can't talk tomorrow, there will be headbutting going on, and that headbutting could lead to fracturing. When it comes to this film, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, this is just another example, and this is going to happen again. Hopefully the next time it happens, it's not under the pretenses of sexual harassment. Hopefully it's just under the pretenses of creative differences, and people can go their separate ways, or people can show back up on set and do the work that they are contractually supposed to be doing. I don't know how much information you guys have been gleaning from this case or getting in general, but after the strike and it was time for everybody to come back to work, Blake Lively did not come back to work, and instead her team sent them a notice that if she didn't have these new terms in place, she wasn't going to come back to set. So now money's already been spent on this. The public has already been told that Blake Lively is going to be playing this role. The writer's favorite actor was Blake Lively. There's already been so much built around Blake Lively being in this role, and then all of a sudden, boom, she starts to assert herself in this new position of authorship, in this new position of being in power. But you weren't supposed to have that position. The biggest poison, the biggest toxicity in all of this is not respecting the hierarchy. It's important to understand that there is always a hierarchy, but her ego would not allow there to be a hierarchy. Her ego would not allow the hierarchy to be what it was. Her ego said to her, I don't know how he's directing this scene. How doesn't he realize that we're not on our mark?
Maybe we have to back up. We're not on our mark.
Why doesn't he realize that the light is not where it's supposed to be?
I think the light is the
Why doesn't he realize that it's better if we're talking in this scene?
I think we should be talking.
Why doesn't he realize it's better for him to take my advice because I've been doing this better than him and I'm more successful than him? I could have his job. I should have his job. I will have his job. I'm going to replace him. Can't tell you how much it happens. I can sit here all night and talk about fractured relationships. And the majority of times when it happens, you don't know it because people just move on, and they move on with ego, and they move on in a way to try to let you know that you don't matter, and they do, and you need them. I see it happen so much. I see so many people throw away relationships that could work. It's no reason for Blake Lively to do what she did on this set. I understand ego, but you haven't even been acting like that. You've been having babies, and you've been being a stay-at-home wife and mom. There's nothing wrong with that. But now when you come on set, and this guy's been working on this film for 6 years, you got to respect that. There have been people who have brought me on their sets, and I'm more knowledgeable than that director or that writer. I can always tell. Before I do any short film, I go and look at these people's IMDb. I can always tell. Like I said, I've been doing this since like 2014. So I'll go and look at somebody's IMDb and just pull up and see, okay, so I can already kind of catch a vibe for what this set might be like. But I still should show up and give my best energy. If there's something, biggest issue that I had with what Justin Baldoni did, he was being too accommodating. the late night voice calls, even considering sending the FDX files, in my opinion. I believe that that's been one of my biggest challenges in Hollywood is I can be over accommodating sometimes because I want to make it work, as opposed to understanding that it's more important to develop boundaries and understand what hat you're wearing and to wear that fucking hat. Regardless of how people on set are trying to respond to you, wear that fucking hat. Justin should have shut it down completely. Yeah, we can rehearse, but no, let me know when you're done breastfeeding. That's when I'll come into your trailer. And as a matter of fact, when you're done breastfeeding, when you're done pumping, come to my trailer. When you're done pumping, let's go on set so that we can actually practice in a place where people can watch us, and we can practice in a place where we're actually going to be doing the work, so we can actually start to materialize what is going to be happening. That's the couch right there. I'm going to throw you over that couch. And Justin needed better boundaries. And I hope Justin learns from this. I've been spending nothing but my time learning from my relationships and the challenges of having these Hollywood relationships. And when it comes to being an artist, one of the things that I think will make or break your career is your ability to foster, build creative relationships. It's something that I've struggled with, and I still have some great creative relationships. But I wouldn't say that I'm rich in the bank when it comes to creative relationships. I would say that I'm doing all right. I can pay my creative bills when it comes down to my creative relationships. But the most important thing to me is understanding where I am in the process. Where are you in the process of building creative relationships? I hope this doesn't seem too overarching kind of conversation or like I'm just all over the place. I think this applies to so many people. When you go to Hollywood or wherever you are, Texas, Atlanta, Florida, St. Louis, wherever you're shooting your project, New Mexico, don't care, wherever you're shooting your project. When you go on that person's set, there needs to be respect for the fact that that person made all this happen. That person has so much to do with this thing even happening in the first place. If you're the person who's the producer, the director, it's important to understand that you need to be respectful to everybody here. But it's also absolutely important to understand that you have a responsibility that you must uphold above all else, and that's getting this film to the finish line from start to finish with your name on the credits where it should be, how it should be. If it's supposed to say a film by insert name here, then it should say a film by insert name here, without the obstruction of an egotistical, maniacal force on set. Just because you hired this person and paid this person, they feel like they can show up and have this kind of energy. And if that happens, that's also something to have in consideration and to be prepared for and to try and study how to deal with that. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to be creating a Substack because I want to actually start talking about some of these, but through how I talk about them. Like sometimes before I do these videos, I actually journal about them first sometimes. And so I'll have a whole written diatribe sometimes on like what this is even about, what triggered me, how I got to this point. And then I sit in this chair and I let myself let it all go. So I'll be getting on Substack soon. And I'm also going to be making some updates to my website for the consults, but also for follow-ups for people who I do have consults with probably every quarter. Just to have a place where I can check back in with people who I'm working with. I hope this monologue that I've shared with you is helpful, even if it's just to understand that it's challenging, but it's to be expected that it's challenging. What's more important is that you come with the mindset of how to manage this and how to handle it. And sometimes you might have to strike out to figure that out. It's extremely challenging to make this work. We're all incredibly creative, but if we're not careful, we can be incredibly toxic. So I love the fact that Justin Baldoni has been hyper-focused on making a safe space for all his actors. And listen, if when all this stuff is said and done, if we get the information that he is in fact the one that's in the wrong, I'll be one of the first ones to get on here and talk about how I was wrong about that. But only reason I can speak with this conviction is because when you're an actor and when you're an actor, you're a director, you've been on set, you've been producing, you see a lot of these challenges, the inner dynamic challenges. These aren't just challenges of, you're not delivering this line. No, it's a challenge that's much deeper. It's got more to do with ego than it does with performance. I believe these kinds of issues can be eliminated, but there needs to be better casting. Meetings need to be more in-depth, and the over-accommodation can't happen because it absolutely is one of the most conflicting things you can do to a hierarchy is over accommodate. People need to show up to work. They need to show up on time. They need to do their job. If you're a director, a producer, and you got an actor that's showing up to work and they're giving you some of that alleged Blake Lively energy, you got to find your way. I wouldn't have allowed it. I'd have pulled her to the side and reminded her, listen, I'm very excited that you're on this film, but I'm the leader of this film. I need you to help me get to the finish line, but I can't have you doing this. I can't have you doing that. I can't have you doing this. And if I think it's better that I don't say those things to you because I can see how you're responding to me, or because I can see that it might mess with your performance, somebody else will probably say it to you. Another one of these producers. Or maybe I'll get somebody from the studio to say it to you. But I don't mind just saying it to you anyways, because you're going to end up hating me in this movie anyways, because I got to throw you over the couch, and I got to put my hands on you, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and just let you know right now, I'm the one that's in control of this film. I want all your opinions, all your ideas, but I need you to be okay with me saying no sometimes, because I've been working on this for 6 years, and I take it that serious. And it's just a shame that Justin Baldoni bent over backwards, was over accommodating, and he's still where he's at right now with this woman. To do everything that he did, everything that he tried to do, and to be at a place where she can say sexual harassment. Those are the kinds of things that sometimes can make Hollywood seem like you don't need it. But that's why you got to be bigger and better than all of that. Do your job, know your job, and understand that sometimes you got to be willing to be disliked. I think Justin didn't want to be disliked. You can tell when he was talking to Ryan Reynolds saying he wants to be friends and this, that, and the third. He didn't want to be disliked. He wanted to be as giving as he could possibly give. And Ryan and Blake took that kindness and they blinded him. And they did everything that they could. Now, he did an amazing job. Justin has with just keeping receipts. If he didn't do that, if he was sloppy with all this stuff, then this would have been a mess. Okay, this would have just been a situation where, honestly, it would have just been he say, she say, and the he in that rarely ever wins. So I wish all of you who are watching this the best when it comes to your creative relationships. I wish all of you understanding when it comes to your creative relationships. I wish all of you wisdom when it comes to your creative relationships, because managing those creative relationships is very challenging. You got to get people on the ship who are going to help you paddle, and not people poking holes in your boat. Not people who are on your boat thinking about making their own boat. You need people who are on your boat who understand that this is your boat and they want to treat your boat like it's their boat. And maybe in the back of their mind, they understand they will have a boat one day. Maybe in the back of their minds, they're thinking about the type of boat that they'll have one day, but they respect yours. Without that, you have nothing. Without that, you're just going to have people who are fracturing where you're trying to go well before you get there. But all right, guys, if you got to this part of the video, I genuinely appreciate you sticking around, rocking with me, and taking all this in. If you have any thoughts, opinions, you are more than welcome to duke it out in the comments below. I will absolutely respond to everything that I see. Would really appreciate it, like I said, if you like, comment, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you back here again tomorrow. I got another video coming tomorrow. I'm going to be recording videos all week. You dig? I'm back, baby. I'm back. All right, y'all. Peace.